What's up, guys? Welcome back to our 15th TheSportUniverse podcast, where the sports are our universe. It's me, Brian, and I'm here with Nick.
What's going on, guys?
So, we have a pretty good, solid group of stuff to talk about in basically every sport. So I think we'll just get started, and I think we're going to get started with the NFL just to switch things up. So Daniel Jones continued to impress during preseason for week 2. Nick, if you want to talk about that for a little bit.
As you guys know, I'm a Giants fan. Mm-hmm. And he continued to impress in week 2. And I think, heading out of week 2, he was again the best rookie quarterback coming out of the week. He didn't pass perfect, but I think he went 11-14 for 14 with a couple touchdowns and whatnot. But I think his biggest flaw, he wasn't perfect like he was last week, as I said, but the two flaws that he had, he fumbled the ball twice. So where the offensive line got beat, not exactly his fault, but the offensive lineman did a good job to, even though he got beat, to push the rusher outside of the pocket. And so essentially Daniel Jones should have stepped up in the pocket and not taken the sack, which he could have done. Instead, he kind of stood still, and he took 2 strip fumbles. I think one was a strip fumble, one I think he just bobbled the ball. I'm not sure how the second one happened, but I know the first one was a strip fumble. But, those are rookie mistakes, right? Those are definitely fixable. In terms of his throwing, he was, again, making good reads, good throws, everything he would want to see out of a rookie quarterback. And he looks to be proving everyone wrong when they drafted him, which is, as a New York Giants fan, it's fun to see. I'll get to this later, but I was talking with Carl Banks yesterday. He's the announcer
he was just casually talking to Carl Banks.
Yeah, I'll get to why I was talking to him later, but I was talking to him about the Giants team, and we were talking. The Giants definitely look different going into the rest of the season. Different team, different morale, and Daniel Jones is looking good. A lot of the rookies are looking good, so it's a good sight for the Giants.
Mm-hmm. I had something to say, but I forgot. You can continue.
For a lot of times I handle the NFL stuff, so I usually write it out for us. So this next one, something I put it's been posted on like NFL's Instagram and ESPN, I think, or on the Rams too. There's this video where they were actually having Sean McVay do like a play-by-play. So while the play was happening, Sean McVay was like calling it out. So he's like, I forget what team they were playing, but they were like, this player's in motion, and then I think they tried to run like a counter or something like that, and a guard tried to pull, and Dakota Allen, who I'll get to in a second, blew the play up. So number one, it was pretty cool to see Sean McVay do a play-by-play like during a play. It's not often that they do that. I'm assuming it's only going to be in the preseason, but it was pretty cool to see, because it'd be tough, especially in a game that really matters for a coach to be doing that.
That is cool.
Yeah. And second of all, I just wanted to focus on Dakota Allen. Dakota Allen was a linebacker, 7th round, drafted out of Texas Tech. And I've been a huge fan of Dakota Allen for a while. He was featured on the second season of Last Chance U, when their last, if anybody's watched it, was their last season in East Mississippi. And essentially, if you don't know Dakota Allen's backstory, he was kind of a phenom out of high school, like most people in the NFL were, right? He was always known as like this down to earth guy, really, pretty religious. He was a leader for the team. And then one night during his freshman year, he decided, I'm guessing he was short on money, he decided to rob somebody's house with a group of people. And eventually they got caught. He wound up having only to do something along the lines of community service and have to pay back what he owed. Luckily, he didn't actually get a felony or anything like that. But Texas Tech, addressed the situation, decided to dismiss him from the team. So from there, he went to East Mississippi, which at the time, and it still is, they're always like perennial best junior colleges. Junior colleges only like freshman, sophomore year. It's essentially for players that want to get back in Division I programs that got kicked out or couldn't make it because of grades, whatever it might be. He decided to attend East Mississippi, Coach Buddy Stevens. It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix series, one of my favorite football series, so you guys should go watch it. But there, Dakota Allen was featured a lot on season 2, and he got really close to God. He got himself baptized, and he really reformed himself. Like, even watching him throughout, like, at his time at Texas Tech and at last chance U, he's always been like a stand-up guy. He's always been a leader, always does the right thing, practices hard, works out hard. So it's good to see him doing well in the NFL. Long story short.
Mm-hmm. All right. So more stuff in the NFL. So it came out today. I was actually just writing an article about it. That the Raiders GM, I think it's Mike Mayock or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? Is it Mike Mayock? I'll look.
I do not know. Not a big.
Let's just say it's Mike Mayock, right? Mr. Mayock. So there was a quote that came out. I'll pull the article up right now. And it was basically, so today during practice, Antonio Brown left early again. He was still upset about the whole helmet issue, which we've talked about and I've done videos about. So you guys should be pretty familiar. But basically the whole helmet issue is that he has this old helmet that he always used and he's comfortable with using. But last year, the NFL instituted some rules for what acceptable helmets are. And it was going to be instituted this year. And now Antonio Brown is having issues with it and wants to use his old helmet, even though I don't know the whole reason, but it's because he thinks it's uncomfortable. But whatever, it's just stupid. And so he left practice early again today because he was upset about the whole helmet issue. It seems so stupid to talk about this, but it is Mike Mayock. He said he told reporters like that Antonio Brown isn't there, and he says, so from our perspective, it's time for him to go all in or all out. We're hoping he gets back soon, and basically giving him an ultimatum. If he's going to come back, he's going to play. If he doesn't come back, he's not playing. And this is what I'm writing in my article, but it's so sad that a player of his caliber literally just can't figure out how to be a normal person, character-wise, and he's ruining every reputation that he possibly has left, and it's going to be hard for him to gain any of that back. He had to leave a team because he was bad character-wise, and he's continuing it, and he's being a bigger distraction than what they want to focus on, which is just being a good football team. So that's just kind of really upsets me because I hate when people that are talented just can't figure out how to play the game that they were meant to play. Do you have anything to say with that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. The whole situation is just stupid to me because it's really just AB being a prima donna.
Mm-hmm.
The game's going to develop, especially how the NFL is shaping, where it's all about safety. You got to expect things like this to come, right? They're always trying to keep equipment updated and whatnot. So, having his helmet go out of stock or out of date because it's not safe is something that he should be prepared for. Number one, or expect. They used to wear leather helmets, well, they don't anymore. Yeah. So every 10 years they're gonna change the metal helmets. These things happen.
Yeah.
Number two, you're telling me that he can't find a helmet that's comfortable for him. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars on a football team that's probably worth billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me that they can't not only not find him a helmet that suits him, but can't build him one. They can't work with the company. What did you like about your old helmet? Well, I like this part, I like the cushion here, and I like the weight of it. There's definitely some way they can figure this out that doesn't involve him storming off the field or not showing up to practices. Yeah. The whole situation is pretty ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous that people are saying what if it's his way of trying to get out of football? And I could definitely see that. He had his whole stupid frostbite thing with his feet and this thing, and I personally don't think he's trying to get his way out of football. I think he's trying to put his name out there and continuously be the focus of everything because he's just an attention seeker. But one of the big things that is bothering me about I think he wants to put himself on a pedestal, and in the first thing that he did when he was on the Raiders, he skipped a practice and went on a hot air balloon ride or something. It was some weird story, and just putting himself above everyone, literally. But
yeah, I remember that. That was in what was it, the Hard Knocks episode, right? He showed up in the hot air balloon for the first practice. Why?
So annoying. Okay, we're back. There is some technical difficulties like we usually have. It's not me or Nick's fault though, so don't blame it on us. So Nick was going to talk about Ronald Ali because it was something I don't really know. But Nick, you can talk about it now.
Yeah, I mean, we were piggybacking off of Dakota Allen being from Last Chance U, and then the Raiders. So I just wanted to he came to my mind because he was on the Raiders and Last Chance U. And by the way, we had 2 technical difficulties before this. Like, we started up, it failed. We started up again, it failed. So, this is 2 times back. But, yeah, so, he was another player from Last Chance U. He was featured on season 1. And he was one of those characters, like, he's always messing up, but, like, he has a really good heart, so you'd always root for him type of guy. And I don't think he had the grades to make a Division I school. That's the reason why he was at East Mississippi at a JUCO. But he wound up transferring to, like, Nichols State after he went to Eastchester's, like, Nichols or something. And then he didn't really make any teams. He didn't really make any splashes. So he ended up, putting himself into the NFL as, like, a free agent. And the Raiders wound up signing him. And he blew his opportunity. Mm-hmm. He wound up having some sort of quad or ankle injury. And then the team was, he was featured on Hard Knocks if people didn't watch it. And the Raiders give him a shot. They're like, look, injury is something you can't really avoid. As long as you do the right stuff, you still got a chance to make the team. He wound up, like, skipping out on treatment for his injury, which in the NFL you absolutely could not do. And again, it's all featured in the Hard Knocks. And essentially, his defensive line coach goes, look, because Ronald Ali goes, no one told me to go to treatment. And it's like, he was like, look, you're in the NFL now. We don't tell you to go to treatment. You go to treatment, and you do. You work on that injury, and you keep working, even though you may not be on the field, you keep working. And they give it like a little spotlight to Jay Gruden. He says, it's time to cut the people that don't want to be here. And Ron Ali was the first one to go.
And Tony
one of the
next.
first ones.
Okay, so I'm going to get into the next thing. So earlier this week, Rock Nation, which is Jay-Z's company, signed a partnership with the NFL. It was focused around, like, musical things, like Pro Bowl music or whatever, but the more important part was that actually made headlines was his partnership with them to help fight social injustices and things like that. And I did a whole video on it, so I'm not going to go too far into it. But Eric Reed, who's one of the players that kneeled alongside Colin Kaepernick and has had a big voice in social injustices with the NFL and fighting it, basically called Jay-Z a sellout, and he was fighting the injustices for all the wrong reasons and was only doing it for money, and basically let him and Colin Kaepernick down. How I feel about that is that I think Eric Reed's a little out of place with what he's saying. I think that Jay-Z, yes, he's making money, but I think he's also doing the right thing and helping something that needs to be helped. And, I mean, him and Colin Kaepernick did kneel for some type of change, and, I mean, they're trying to change something. So I think they kind of succeeded with what they wanted to do. I guess we'll get into the next thing, which is about the challenge rules, which Nick wanted to talk about.
I just wanted to say, like, it's kind of becoming a bigger thing as the preseason games go on. And I don't know if we ever covered it on the podcast, but the NFL has some rule changes going into this year, beyond just the helmet issue. One of the bigger things, which is kind of a result of the Rams and Saints game last year, where I forget what Saints player was, like, on a wheel route, and the Rams player came across and pretty much clocked him on the sideline before he could catch the ball. And it was pretty clear pass interference. Yeah. And it wasn't called. So, like, during the offseason, they made some rule changes. And now with your challenge, you get one challenge. Carries per half or per game. But, if you get the challenge right, you get a challenge back. If you get it wrong, you lose your timeout. It goes under that same rule book. That same rule, and you can challenge whether something was pass interference, whether it gets flagged and you want to say it wasn't pass interference, or whether it wasn't flagged and you want to say it was pass interference. You can challenge that now, and it's becoming a bigger and bigger thing. And I feel like it might be one of the bigger challenges that we see, because an inch for a fourth down isn't that big, but if they, with the NFL being such a big passing league, even though it might be shifting to RPO. when you hit 40-yard passes down the field and you think you could see interference, that wherever the pass interference was, I'm pretty sure is where they spot the ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're teams that might be more likely to throw up 50-yard bombs, hoping either one, they'll catch it, or number two, they'll get a spot for pass interference so they can throw a challenge flag. So, this can become a really big part of the game going forward. I mean, we'll have to see how it develops, but yeah, I just wanted to note that.
The one thing about that, obviously, I'm not like that familiar with how football works, but like I feel like whenever they show instant replays on things, it seems like I know like they can like touch them during there's like a 5-yard rule, but it seems like after that, like there's always some type of pass interference like missed. So it would be interesting to see if they like go off like degrees of how bad it is and things like that, because I feel like it could get out of control a little bit. So I think that's it for NFL. We'll get into some NBA stuff. So for those that don't know, DeMarcus Cousins suffered a torn ACL when he was playing a pickup game. I think it was a pickup game or practice. And that's kind of really sad might be the wrong word, but for me at least, I feel bad for him, and I feel like he's one of those talents that
we'll never see the light of day.
Yeah, we'll never be able to come back to what he used to be, and even he might have been able to be better than what he was, but with all these injuries, it really sucks, and I kind of hate when like talent like that is taken out of the league because of injury. I mean, I saw it with Matt Harvey and what happened with his thoracic outlet syndrome and things like that, and he's just never been the same. And for DeMarcus Cousins, I mean, basketball is so focused on the legs and everything. Obviously, you can come back and play close to how you used to be, but with he's had like 3 injuries in the past year and a half focused around the legs. I feel like it's going to be hard for him to be anywhere close to what he used to be. For the Lakers, I mean, it's kind of a bigger deal, but I really didn't think DeMarcus Cousins was going to have that big of an impact on their team, and I mean, it's mainly focused around LeBron James and Anthony Davis, but he definitely would have had an impact, so like their road to the finals and what they hope will be this season is going to be as much harder, maybe not much, but it's going to be harder considering they don't have one of their big pieces that they signed over the summer. And for the league, it just opens up maybe new paths for teams to get into the finals or make it farther into the NBA playoffs. You want to talk about PJ Tucker?
Well, I guess I want to comment on the DeMarcus Cousins thing, injury. Okay. So I got a hot take on that. Hot take. Couple hot takes on that.
We ready?
I agree with you. It's pretty unfortunate for like DeMarcus Cousins, and we wanted to see him come back. In terms of DeMarcus Cousins, might be a hot take here. I think he should retire. I think he could keep trying to come back, but how many injuries in a row is he going to get? His body doesn't seem like it could take it anymore. He's bigger than basketball at this point, and I feel like he might be wanting to consider retirement.
Yeah,
because when you have a torn Achilles, torn ACL, back problems, it's nonstop. And like even when he came back from the Warriors last year, he seemed like he wasn't the same player. He seemed like he was slower, although he still looked very talented. Which is why I feel like he was going to be a huge part of the Lakers, right? Despite him not being able to be as athletic as he once was. But I feel like in the Lakers system and what they have going on this year, athleticism isn't the key. It's more basketball IQ, which I feel like he would have fit in very well with.
That's a good point.
So I feel like it's a really tough loss for the Lakers, and it is a tough injury to Cousins. But yeah, I feel like he might want to consider retirement at this point because he's had major injury after major injury, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better.
The one thing about that, I see what you're saying, but like I'm trying to think of what a career for DeMarcus Cousins looks like after basketball, considering he's only like 29 years old, and that's like
true, yeah.
Pretty young. I would definitely, if it was the NFL and it was like head injuries and something, I would definitely say like leave, or even if it was just like lower body injuries. But I feel like he's young enough, and legs aren't your head and like how you're gonna think in the future. So I feel like he should. I don't think he's going to retire, but I feel like he should definitely stick it out. Maybe take like some time to, like, obviously he's going to have some time because he has a torn ACL, but, like...
Yeah, he should definitely fully rehabilitate.
Yeah.
And not rush it.
Right, not rush into it.
And then,
PJ Tucker.
I guess going on from that, PJ Tucker. It was funny because I talked about PJ Tucker being, like, the only Rocket on the... Actually, speaking of Rockets, before I go on PJ Tucker, I just want to say, like, I think in terms of, like, the Western Conference, it kind of knocks the Lakers out, in my opinion. Which people may not see. I don't know. It definitely hurts the Lakers.
Yeah.
I'd probably put top 2 teams in the West right now. Put the Clippers, and I put the Rockets. Because the Rockets essentially have the same team as they did last year, a solid coach, and they got Westbrook, who's worked with Harden in the past, so I feel like they have a lot of potential to be number 1 and number 2 team. And then the Clippers, because obviously they have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and, you know, their team changed up a bit, but they also have a very solid coach in Doc Rivers. So
did you put the Lakers third?
I had the Lakers at number 1 before, and now I probably have them at number 3 after that.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably put the Warriors 4, Nuggets 5 in the West. That's how it changes the West. In terms of PJ Tucker, he was the only Rocket left on the USA national team, which gets less and less talent every day. He wound up hurting his ankle, and he dropped himself out from the team. So they're even worse now. I mean, in terms of the USA national team, when your starting center is Brook Lopez, you know, it's not going to look like a good year.
I think
I talked about this.
I think I saw De'Aaron Fox left the team too today. Like he didn't.
Did he? I didn't even know that.
He didn't go with their trip to Australia.
And think about De'Aaron Fox, right? He's talented, but I mean, in terms of what America and the US has to provide. So it's just not a good look for the USA national team.
I mean, I guess it'll be more interesting this year. Or
it'll be opened up.
Yeah. And the games will actually be kind of competitive. Mm-hmm. I still think they'll probably win. I mean, but
possibly
Giannis being on the Greek team is a pretty big threat.
And the Australian team's good from year to year.
Yeah, and Spain's always good.
I don't know if they have Ben Simmons, but...
Spain's always good and things like that. Should be interesting. I guess we'll go into baseball now. It's pretty much our favorite team segment too. Before I get into the Mets, I mean this is kind of related, but Fernando Tatis Jr. is most likely out for the season. And for those that know baseball or don't know baseball, Fernando Tatis was basically the other threat for Rookie of the Year with Pete Alonso. And now that he's out,
the polar bear.
Yeah. And now that he's out, it's basically like a lock for Pete Alonso, I'd say. I mean, I don't want to jinx him, but there's not really a lot of other competition. I mean, today he broke the NL rookie record for home runs, and he's continued to be really good. I mean, he did struggle coming back from the home run derby, but I think he's basically out of it. I think he went 4 for 4 the other day. So I think he's out of it and back to what he was in last season. And so I think Pete Alonso has that in the bag, which is really nice. I guess I'll get into the Mets too. So they're still doing pretty good. They went 5-4 on their road trip, which isn't obviously 14-1, which they were doing before, but it's definitely still pretty good. They played the Braves and the Royals, and now this next period of time, I think they played 25 games against contenders. So this next stretch is pretty big for them and what they're trying to do this season. It'll be nice. It'll be interesting to see, and obviously, crunch time is always probably one of the more fun times in sports. You can talk about the Yankees.
Yeah. Sorry if anybody heard that in the background. It's my mom.
I don't think they're gonna hear that, but.
So the Yankees, you know, they're still the Yankees, 7-3 in the last 10. They've been struggling recently against like specific teams, but the Cleveland Indians have the Yankees number. Every time they play them, they get blown out, and I could not tell you why it's just the Indians. But in terms of they had a game yesterday. 3 people got ejected. 2 being players. Aaron Boone got ejected. Well, it also with Brett Gardner, I think after he got like a questionable strikeout, he started banging his bat into the top of the dugout again. Just kind of funny because I saw like memes and it was like, this is what my Italian grandmother does in her apartment complex when people are loud upstairs. And she doesn't get ejected. But and then I think Aaron Boone went to go complain about it, and he got ejected. And then apparently CC Sabathia said something from the dugout, and he got ejected. So yeah, that was a big ejection fest yesterday. And they wound up losing, I think, 8-4.
I always like seeing players get ejected and things like that because it just shows that they actually have a soul and a heart to the game.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's the news of the Yankees, but still doing solid. I think.
Yeah.
Are they the number one team in baseball right now?
I think so.
Yeah, the number one team in baseball. Let me check those standings. Let's see. We got Yankees 83 and 43. Anybody higher in the American League, that is a no-go. National League, Dodgers are right behind them at 82 and 44. But yeah, the Yankees are the best team in baseball currently by via record.
There you go. So we'll do. What are we up to now? For those that don't know, we have like an outline that we look at for what we're going to talk about. So you want to talk about what happened this weekend with you?
Yeah. So I put the section in and I didn't finish outlining it, but I have it all in my head. So the show is over today. The East Coast National was this weekend at the Westchester County Center, and I was there. I didn't wind up attending. I actually winded up working it, volunteering. So I actually spent the day with a lot of the players and, having them sign autographs and whatnot. So it was a lot of fun. I just wanted to maybe, I posted about it on my Instagram. Hopefully people will come, because I said I was going to talk about it on the podcast, so hopefully they'll come from the Instagram. So if you're doing that, how you doing? So I got there around 9 a.m. Just set up a little bit. The first player that actually pulled through that, I'm only going to talk about, major players or the players that I spent time with, because there was a ton of players there. First player that pulled through was Joe Montana. Nice guy. For the most part, he was a little scrawnier than I thought. He didn't have too much muscle mass, but I guess it's because he's old. He's still one of the greatest of all time, right? And he was nice. Big McDonald's fan apparently. He wanted McDonald's at 9:30 in the morning. So as a company, we try to keep him happy because we kind of need him there for the show. So we wound up running to get him McDonald's. So that was kind of funny.
Wait, did you guys pay for it?
I think so, yeah.
He doesn't have enough money.
I was just an intern there for the day, so it was. I was just kind of following orders blindly. I was like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
And it was and I had my badge on me, and people are asking me questions like, "What time does this happen?" I'm like, "I have no clue. I'm not the person to ask." And I feel bad because I want to give him answers, but
there's nothing to say. Yeah,
pretty much, yeah. And then after that, we had a bunch of Giants players come through, and they were all from the Super Bowls that they've been to.
Mm-hmm.
So they have the 1987 Super Bowl team, and they had the 1991 Super Bowl team there. So it was pretty dope. I sat with a few of them. I guess I'll start with the first person I sat with. His name was Matt Barr, and he was a kicker for the Giants. I'm not sure what team. But he wound up kicking a game-winning field goal against I think the 49ers, and he wound up being a big part of the Super Bowl team. He was a really nice guy, He before he even started signing autographs, he went and talked to the fans waiting online to get the autographs. So he was a super nice guy. I actually ended up running to get him Nathan's. I was a big food runner for the day. He had a hot dog with French fries.
Oh.
Super nice guy. I mean, all the players that I dealt with yesterday were pretty nice. And then after that, I wound up sitting with two people. I think Lionel Manuel and a guy by the name of Bart Oates. They were both part of the Super Bowl teams as well. Again, super nice guys. It was really fun. I was talking about football and whatnot. I told them I was 18, and they were kind of surprised about that. They're like, "You're really 18?" I was like, "Yeah." One of them was my oldest granddaughter was 18, which I thought was kind of funny. And then after that, I winded up sitting with Terry Kennard, who was a safety. He was a really nice guy from South Carolina. Really nice guy. Took a picture with him. And then I wound up actually talking a little bit with Carl Banks, which I mentioned earlier in the podcast. So that's when I was sitting with him. He was really nice too. I got a picture with him. They're all on my Instagram if you guys want to check it out. Nick.Horvath. And then after that, I kind of just hung out downstairs. I also wound up meeting earlier in the day when the Giants first arrived. RJ Barrett was there, and he wound up showing up late. So he had to sign a lot of autographs, so he couldn't really take pictures or anything like that. And he wasn't under my company. He was actually under the company of Fanatics, the T-shirt company, as most people know them, and they're online and whatnot. So wasn't really taking pictures, but he seemed to be like pretty nice and down to earth. One guy tried taking pictures of him. This is how I know I wasn't allowed to take pictures, and I guess his agent or whoever the representative was from Fanatics told him no pictures. And the guy, it was funny. The guy said, "I'm just a hopeful Knicks fan, hoping he can save the Knicks." And then him and he had his mother, his girlfriend, and I believe his brother or cousin or something along those lines. Somebody towards his age was a guy, and that they're all like, "We hope we can save the Knicks too." So he was actually a pretty nice guy. RJ Barrett seemed like, I just thought it was kind of crazy because his autograph's worth $150 and we're the same age. And I always talk about this. He's just kind of crazy. He was tall, though. He's definitely 6'7". And then at the end of the day, I ended up talking to Lawrence Taylor, who the best football player of all time. My personal, I probably have like my top two favorite football players of all time. It got to be tied at this point between Lawrence Taylor and Brian Dawkins. So to meet Lawrence Taylor was just awesome.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, I mean that was the majority of my day yesterday. I wound up getting an RJ Barrett autograph from yesterday. I have a ton of Lawrence Taylor stuff, so I didn't ask him for anything, but it was just like really nice to meet him. So I mean that was the bulk of my day yesterday. Do you have any questions, Brian?
Not really, but I did want to say that I mean, being able to have conversations with these players is probably so cool. I mean, I always try to get autographs when I go to baseball games and things like that, but obviously they don't really talk to anyone. They just take the balls and sign it. So that's like probably a really cool thing to do.
No, for sure. Actually, there was this one player. I think it was Lionel Manuel. Apparently he's a coach of some team some high school team in Arizona, and me and him were talking about it. Actually, what we were talking about yesterday, we talked about two things. One of them actually inspired my controversial topic for today, which we'll get to in a little bit. But apparently he's the coach of a high school team out in Arizona. They won 4 of the 5 last state championships. And recently they've had 2 NFL players, one being Paul Perkins, running back for the Giants, who actually had a really good game. I think this week I think he averaged like 5.8 yards per carry. We talked about this. And the second player was big Patriots pick, N'Keal Harry, who actually wound up playing for Arizona State after that, but he was on his high school team, which was pretty dope.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, like not only is he, a Super Bowl winning NFL player, he's also a state championship winning coach. So he was a pretty cool guy to talk to.
Yeah, especially because he played high school football. Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. It was cool. Like all the players like interacting with each other. It was like kind of like a
get together.
In terms of, like for the Super Bowl teams, it was kind of like a get together reunion for them. They're all talking. A lot of them hadn't seen each other in like 10 years. It was like Mark Bavaro there and Lawrence Taylor. They were all chopping it up, nudging at each other. I remember Matt Barr. He tackled one of the other dudes into the wall, and I was just laughing. I guess they got their inside jokes and whatnot. They were a family. And they haven't seen each other in a while, so it was pretty cool to see.
That's cute. I guess we'll get into the controversial topic, right? That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I guess you can introduce it because it's your idea.
And I guess I got it. So me and Lionel Manuel were talking about, we kind of miss football, but today's football is not really the same. He said he hadn't watched it in a while, and I was like, yeah, we kind of got into football's getting, in my opinion, and it's kind of a controversial topic. Is football getting too soft? There's constantly penalties being added. You can't touch the quarterback here. This is pass interference. This is not. There's no crackback blocks. Is football getting too soft? Is the question. And I guess I'll start since I already got into it a little bit. I'd say definitely yes. I mean, football is one of those sports that are like it's so physical, and if the game's meant to be how it's supposed to be played, you can't avoid injury. There's going to be head injuries. There's going to be all types of injuries. It takes a certain level of toughness to play it. Two things that come to mind was actually from yesterday. Bart Oates, one of the players that I was sitting with, he was actually a center for the Giants. He was number 65. If you guys want to look him up, he was signing this poster of himself, and he was wearing white pants in the poster, and on his pants, absolutely drenched in blood. I mean, there was blood all over his thigh and all over his calf. And if you guys, I'm pretty sure that picture's got to be somewhat famous if he's signing it, right?
Sure.
If you probably Google it, I can't find it right away. But I see it right there. But I was thinking about yesterday. I was like, if somebody has blood on them now in the NFL, they have to go and sit out. Back then, you had blood on you played through it, and you got blood on everybody, and it was pretty. Yeah. That part I can say it's kind of a good idea that they cut back on, because in terms of like health, STDs and whatever else might be immersed with people's blood, that's probably a good thing. But in terms of like the penalties, I'm just not a fan of them. Like crackback blocks, right? They're like huge hits, but I feel like they're clean at the same time. As long as you're not blocking in the back, is kind of dirty because they can't really defend themselves. But if you're running straight at somebody, right, and they're running at you, if they're not paying attention, that's their fault. You're not.
Sure. They
had an opportunity to pay attention there, where if you blocked them in the back, they didn't. So I feel like crack blocks are kind of fun to see, even though they're kind of dangerous. I feel like they're just part of the game, especially like if you got a runner and you need somebody's about to tackle him. Those blocks are not awesome to see, but they're also like super effective in helping like runners get extra yards. I'm also like not a fan of like how you can't really sack quarterbacks certain ways. I mean, it was pretty bad at the beginning of last season. Yeah. I don't know if anybody remembers, but like Clay Matthews wound up getting like 4 consecutive penalties on sacks that would have been just normal sacks in the past years. Mm-hmm. I was actually, after talking to Lawrence Taylor yesterday, I was kind of interested, and I was looking through his highlights. He used to take quarterbacks and throw them like rag dolls, like horse collar. Like he used to take quarterbacks, take them by their collar of their jersey, and throw them 5 yards. And like if you did that today, it'd be you get so many penalties. Yeah. And he used to talk. He used to talk like smack to them right after he sacked them and get in their faces, and you just can't do these things in the NFL. I feel like they were not only were they a lot of fun, but I feel like it's a necessary part of the game when it's so aggressive and physical as it is, and. I think, it is kind of getting a little bit too soft, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it's just the nature of the game to be physical, and there's really no other way to protect the people that play football besides them just not playing football. I mean, obviously, it's good to try and make it somewhat safer, but some of the things they're doing are a little too much, or more than a little too much. I mean, quarterbacks are out there to risk getting injured, and sacks are a part of the game, and there shouldn't really be such crazy rules against it that it affects how players can tackle quarterbacks and things like that. I think that I guess that's really all I really have to say. It's just the nature of the game to be physical and to be not soft.
Yeah.
And I think the NFL is making their game too soft, because I feel like they got hit so hard by all the head injuries and stuff that they're trying too hard to overcompensate for it, which might be making it their situation.
People sign up for football that I feel like they know that they're going to get head injuries. I mean, it's always been part of the game, and I feel like it's unavoidable. There's actually this one play I think I saw today where a guy, in past years, just to be a form tackle, he tackled bleeding, hit him first with his shoulder, he tackled him at the waist, and he brought him right to the ground. He got called for a penalty for leading with his head. It's so hard not to lead with your head as a tackler, right? You're going to tackle him, you're going to try to lead with your shoulder, but lead with your head. It's so hard to avoid. I feel like that one of those rules, that rule in particular is extremely soft. You should be able to tackle however you want. You do it at your own risk. I mean, the person you're tackling is not going to get injured. You're going to get injured really badly. Yeah. So you should tackle safely, but it's so hard to patrol what tackling. If a tackle is not safe enough for the player, it's such a fine line. And it's so tough to officiate. And then secondly, I just wanted to go piggyback on what you said about quarterbacks. It's why are the quarterbacks so special? from a financial standpoint, yeah, they kind of sell tickets and whatnot, and they're pretty popular. But at the same time, like, they're just as big of a player as the offensive lineman. You know, they're just another player on the field. Why do they get these special rules that they can't be touched?
Yeah, it's definitely. I don't even know what word I would use to describe it, but
it's just it's fairness.
Yeah,
equality. If I can, go, man to man with offensive linemen, I can't do that with the quarterback. I mean,
like you said, certain injuries just go with the sport, and like torn ACLs in basketball and things in baseball, and head injuries in NFL, which obviously head injuries aren't good, but that's what happened with the NFL and football in general. You have anything else to add with that?
Not really. I guess I talked about it all.
So I think that's it. That was a pretty long podcast, I'd say. It's good we finally had a lot of stuff to talk about. So you have any final words?
I'll preface it with, how I always do. This podcast is a work in progress. We try to get better every week. If you have questions, comments, concerns, comment them down below. You can contact me at nick.horvath on Instagram, or contact me at my email, nicholashorvath10@yahoo.com. I guess I want to say two things. I guess this week I'm off to, going into next week. I'm going back to college. On Wednesday I'll be just going to my new college, Villanova University. We'll see how things go there. Gonna get set up and figure out what to do. But so yeah, hopefully when I get back to college, I'll start writing. Can't even think of it. Articles again. Yeah. I haven't wrote one in a while, and I kind of want to get back to it. Just been so busy, like doing nonsense and even trying to enjoy myself for what parts of the summer that I wasn't working. I guess second of all, just before I give it off to Brian, I just wanted to say, I'm hopefully, so the company I work for is MAB Celebrities. You can Google it and go to their website, and their website is https / mab-celebrity.com/.
I'll put it in the box below the video.
Yeah, you'll be able to find all the future events there. They're going to be back in White Plains October 4th to October 6th. They don't have players listed yet. I'm only I was only volunteer help, so I'm not really behind the scenes, but I enjoy it. It's another part where I can connect to sports, and hopefully I can work. I can hopefully volunteer at the 4th to the 6th again, and we'll see what happens. But I just wanted to give them a quick shout out. There's future events there. You can online. They have an online catalog. You can order stuff from the shows in advance. And that's when they do private signings downstairs, and that's where they actually fill out they do autographs for the online catalog. If you guys have any questions about my experience this weekend, or any questions about sports memorabilia, I have a lot of sports memorabilia. I'm big into all sports and whatnot. Or even Madden, whatever it is you want to talk to me, contact me at where I said. I guess that's it. I guess I'll hand it off to Brian.
Okay. So, like I say, we'll be back next week. Let us know what you thought of this in the comments and everything. Check out our videos. We're now officially posting daily content. We have the reaction videos, the highlight videos, and, of course, the podcast. The YouTube is where you found it, TheSportUniverse. I now have a schedule for writing articles too. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. So there's one coming out today. Yeah, I know.
Is that just you, or is that...
Yeah, it's just me right now. It's fine, though. If you have interest in writing for us or editing videos, contact TheSportUniverse2019@gmail.com. And thanks... Oh, wait. We're up to 58 subscribers now. So... It's the road to 100. And
especially the video editors or any type of graphical editors, because me and Brian were talking about this. We kind of want to start up the Instagram again and get more back into that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I haven't done. I said I was going to look into it, but I didn't.
It's just
kind of forgot about it.
It's just I
We
like
want,
for a
we want to
while.
have something unique and
Yeah.
also like something that looks good on Instagram, something that looks professional and unique. So if you have any ideas or even experiences with making that type of stuff, definitely contact us.
Yeah, I mean, for those that don't know, I had like a history of doing like the Met Universe, and I was running the Sport Universe Instagram account, and just got to a point, just like nonsense work. It was like I didn't know how to really edit the pictures and didn't really know what to say that would make us different and stand out. So we basically just stopped it, and we're hoping to figure out a way to reboot it and make it good. At this point, it's just really not fun for me to do.
Yeah, and the account nearly has 1,700 followers. So if definitely you have a nice platform to start on if anybody wants to take that over.
Yeah, I mean, because we haven't been posting it, like it would start at like 1,800 or something. So
yeah.
If you're interested, contact us about that too. And I guess that's it. Thanks for listening.